T-Bone and Heather on Star 98.3 and 97.7 The Bay.
8 minutes after 8 o'clock, 8:08. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to it. It is Thanksgiving Eve, and we are fortunate enough to spend a little time with Tony Covington.
Yay! State's Attorney, Charles County. How are ya?
T-Money, I like to call
The
it.
flashlight of justice.
Right. Listen, it's our pleasure. You have been
Hot him up, T. Pit number 3.
Oh, sorry. There
you go.
You have been for a few years, and it is just a great thing that you do. It is the Drive Sober initiative.
Right.
And this is one of – I know that you're passionate about this for some very personal reasons that we can go into, but this is one of the most avoidable things that a person can do.
Right.
Nobody's saying don't celebrate, have fun, whatever. I don't care. But just don't be dumb. It's like the simplest thing in the world. This initiative that you have going on, tell everybody how this came to be and you know why this is so near and dear to you.
Well, as you pointed out, I've been talking about drunk driving and trying to prevent it forever, and it's 100% preventable.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. One of the few crimes that is. Right. There's no reason why anybody has to get behind the wheel of a car after drinking. And we finally said, let's try to do something about it as well. Talking to people about it, telling people how terrible it is. My family went through it many, many years ago.
Right.
But it still impacts. My father was killed by a drunk driver in the 60s, 1969. Right? July 30th. I remember the day.
Tony, what happened to the drunk driver? Did they because
Well,
laws were different.
It was back
1969.
Then. He was prosecuted. The guy was prosecuted. My understanding was that was actually the second time.
Well, of course it was.
He had not just drove drunk, but killed somebody.
Oh, my God.
Second time killing somebody?
Yeah. And my father, who was an officer in the Army down in Fort Benning, Georgia.
Wow.
The guy got prosecuted. But, back then it was much worse than even today as far as the amount of time that somebody gets. So it's near and dear to me, obviously, to my whole family. And all those years ago, I still remember it like it was yesterday.
Of course.
Those things never go away. But, as I come through life trying to do something about it, obviously going around telling everybody how terrible it is and getting with those folks who've also suffered through it.
Yeah, you deal with families all the time that have had a loved one killed from a drunk driver, buzz driver. Marijuana now is something you got to worry
That's
about.
adding to the problem.
It
Absolutely.
is, yeah.
Legalization of it throughout the country, the numbers are going up, of course.
Yeah.
And yes, marijuana impairs you from being able to do all sorts of things, but especially drive. But anyway, the Drive Sober initiative we started about 3 years ago, made it official. We going around Southern Maryland trying to do some things. We give out breathalyzers that are keychain size, and those are very important because most people don't know what it feels like to be under the influence of alcohol above the legal limit.
Well,
right?
Sure. Well, if there's nothing to measure it, they're just guessing.
Exactly. And the subjective feeling doesn't get it. What people need to understand is if you have X amount of alcohol in your system, right, by medical whatever it is, your senses, your reaction time, your coordination is impaired, where it's going to impact your driving, no matter how you subjectively feel.
Yeah,
right? See, that's what people need to understand. It really doesn't make a difference how you feel. It's what's in your blood.
Right.
Because what's in your blood is going to dictate it. And that's, medical science over the years. When I first started prosecuting way back in the 90s, right, the legal limit was 0.15. That's almost twice what it is now. But that was a political compromise.
Right.
And then the science finally kicked in over the decades, and now it's down to a 0.08,
right,
which all the medical literature and everybody agrees, if you got that in your system, you're over.
You're impaired.
And of course, everybody metabolizes alcohol differently. But, your point is well made that just because, I'm fine.
I feel fine.
That's not how it works. But maybe this is a curveball, and if you don't know the answer, it's fine. Roughly 0.08. Like, what is that exactly? I mean, like, if they're doing the champagne toast New Year's Eve or whatever.
They've always said the body can metabolize in 1 hour a shot of whiskey, a glass of wine, or a beer. That's what they've always said.
All three?
No, separately, because a beer is different than wine.
You got a
whiskey
drinking problem.
No, beer is different than wine. Wine is different than whiskey, but it's the shot. 1 ounce of of a harder liquor.
An hour?
A glass of wine, which is like
So
3
if
to
you had
4
a-
ounces, and a beer, which is probably 12 ounces.
Okay.
So an hour, but you're right.
But that's a rule of thumb.
That's
Everybody's different.
Everything's
It's
a rule
different,
of thumb.
right?
And, you know, if you're eating, if you're working out or whatever it
Right.
is going to make a difference. That's why I think these breathalyzers, which are very inexpensive,
Yeah.
make a difference because you can, you know, you're out there celebrating, you're at home, whatever it is. Say, let me see what my numbers are, and you might be surprised. Say, boy, I feel fine, and my numbers are 0.1
Yeah.
or above or something.
Right. Can't drive.
So
right.
how would a person go about getting one of these things?
Well, we're giving them out. We've got I think Colonial Liquors up in La Plata is helping us out. They're giving those out. We're also giving out Uber gift cards.
Tell us how
Okay,
that
how does that
works.
work?
How did you get a hold of Uber and get a?
He's a state's attorney.
Just,
like when we call.
If you only knew, that really didn't help us a whole heck of a lot.
They have a lot of clout.
we just had to go get them. Although we do have a code that we're going to be giving out. Actually, right now from until 6 p.m. a little code, a UCR or whatever the heck.
Yeah, I
UP,
got you.
the QR code.
Just go to our website, ccsao.us. That stands for Charles County State's Attorney's Office. ccsao.us, and you can actually download that.
Download the code.
That's
Oh,
right.
great.
And we're giving them out. We're giving some. I think Colonial Liquors has some. Other places have some. We're going to be at the Shop Small in La Plata on Saturday. We'll be giving out some of the gift cards. We're giving out breathalyzers as well. Obviously, as long
Excellent.
as supplies
Yeah.
last.
Right.
Right.
Things cost
Yeah,
money.
but I mean,
Nobody just gave them to us.
They call this night Drinksgiving. I mean, they
Right.
call it. I mean,
It's
it
today.
has a name. I mean, more
today.
people get drunk and drive on this night than any. You'd think it'd be New Year's Eve, or you'd think it'd be it's tonight. Tonight, people imbibe more and they're on the roads drunk more.
Well, family's in. gotta have a little bit of a buzz to deal with family.
But you don't have to get in the car, and you
Right.
don't have to drive, and there's somebody
Right.
in your house that's sober, or you could go this way and you could get, the Uber code or whatever the case may be. Stay. Eat some food,
right.
too. Eat some food.
And to encourage designated drivers, we're also some of the restaurants in the area are giving out free or honoring free drink vouchers.
Oh, that's a
for
good idea.
folks,
Soft drinks.
non-alcoholic, right?
Soft drinks. So
Let me
that's
ask you
a,
something. You got a fine legal mind. I learned all of my legalities and whatnot off of Law and Order. So, so I think we're on par.
Right.
So here's the deal. Let me ask you something.
Uh-huh.
Okay, because I was thinking about this the other night. Premeditated. Okay, that's a thing when it is applied that carries a little bit of a heavier penalty in some situations. Premeditated murder versus something else.
homicide.
Why isn't all drinking and driving premeditated?
Well, you're talking to a guy who thinks that it should be treated as such because everybody knows what's going to
It
happen.
seems like a premeditated crime to me.
Yeah, well, it's people. Now there are some people who,
they're
I'm
idiots.
going to be the designated driver, and then they get out there and whatever
Yeah.
it is they start. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, well, I don't know if the word premeditated is purpose, but it's certainly foreseeable.
Yeah.
It's certainly known what can happen. Now, look, there's a really terrible statistic. They did some survey of folks who have been charged, got caught drunk driving, and they said, how many times have you got behind the wheel of a car,
Oh, God.
having had as much to drink today or more, right?
Okay.
And it's like 70 times.
Oh, my God.
Oh my.
Right?
Oh my.
70
Mothers
times.
Against Drunk Driving, which is a great organization,
Yeah.
and a whole lot of lives have been saved because of them. They say that we get less than 1% are actually stopped in drunk driving.
Even with those
throughout the
rolling
country.
stop, where everybody's checked.
Yeah.
Do people just kind of do back roads and get? What do you think?
No, you just don't have that many police officers on the road.
Right,
You can't.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just can't. So it's a big problem. Has always been a big problem. Totally preventable. Now there have been strides. Like I said, since MAD came into existence, they've cut the deaths at least, literally in half.
Wow.
Which is
That's
great. But
that's
you're
great.
still talking 30,000 people.
And
a year,
and when did
right?
they come? Like in the 80s? I mean, they've been working on it for like 40 years.
Yeah. Drunk driving came in. I think MAD opened up in 1970, became an organization.
70.
In the 70s, yeah. So they've been around for a long time, and they've done a lot. They have their programs as well. they are hoping, and other people are hoping, that technology will rid us of this problem.
Well,
So
you know,
we'll see.
I was reading a thing yesterday. There was a deal out, and you know, AI, this double-edged sword that is AI. I don't know about this, but they did a thing, and they had maybe you know about this. They had AI, and then they had traditional measuring devices, breathalyzer, blood analysis, so on and so forth. And then they got like 20 people, gave them shots until they were, you know, a little buzzed. And they had them repeat a phrase to AI. And AI could tell, based on the way they spoke before the drinks and after the drinks, with 98% accuracy,
If they were drunk.
if they were too intoxicated to drive.
That's pretty impressive.
I
Yeah.
thought it was.
Now, they have other technology out there where they have, you know, Star Trek stuff, to me, sensors in the car, either on the steering wheel or the ambient air when you're in there.
Oh.
And
Exhaling.
that can detect. Now how you can fool that machine, I don't know, but
But wouldn't it just be better to not drink and drive?
course.
I mean, it's pretty. I mean, we're
Just
trying
don't
all
do it.
these tricks,
I know,
to
right.
tell humans stop
Yeah,
drinking and driving. People die, and it's a little frustrating.
it's very frustrating.
I can't imagine.
And
Yeah.
it's very frustrating that the penalties, one for killing somebody while you drink, are a slap in the face to victims and their families.
How much time is somebody
the
going to
max you
serve?
can get is 10 years. That's the max.
For killing somebody.
But even when you're just talking about drinking and driving itself, you know, nobody dead or anything like that, there's no practically, the law says you can go to jail for a year. Practically speaking, nobody goes to jail.
A judge
for
doesn't
more.
send
The
them.
judges aren't giving people. We had, and this is one situation, but, you know, kind of tells you, guy had 6 priors, and the judge gave him like 30 days.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and I'm like, when do you get to go to jail for a year?
When is it
Right.
real?
When does that?
Yeah.
When does that kick in?
Right. When did, so that if you do the math on that, I don't know how many times he'd have to have to get caught.
Right.
Right.
So that is one of the problems. I call them, we don't get behavioral changing sentences. And I've said this before. I think to you. Drunk drivers, for the most part, are good folks. They're hardworking people. This, that, and the other. And they can foresee what happens. But those are the people that their behavior will change. You got some hardened criminal doing whatever
Right.
it is. He's going to keep on doing what he's
They
doing.
don't care.
Of course.
All right. So if I know somebody got 30 days. Somebody told me, "Hey, you're going to jail for 30 days, no matter what." It is guaranteed that if you get caught drunk driving,
30 days.
going for 30 days, I'm not going to even take the chance.
Why would you?
And right, and because a whole lot of folks can't afford to take 30 days off.
Of work and
well,
right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly right.
The job will be here, just be somebody else doing it.
Right.
Talking with Tony Covington, State's Attorney for Charles County. Give them that website again.
So they
where
can get their little QR
the
code.
QR code thing.
Yeah, and everything else is on there too. It's the CCSAO, stands for Charles County State's Attorney's Office. .us, not
Dot
.com,
US.
.us.
Okay. Tony, it's a great initiative. You've been doing this for several years. And, this is one of those jobs where maybe if everything goes right, we'll work ourselves out of that job. And we won't
Yeah.
have to continue to do
Right.
it. But you're doing a great job. And it
Even
re-
before it had a name, you
Yeah.
were working on it for years before. Yeah.
have fun, celebrate, do what nobody's telling you not to. Just don't be stupid.
What's your Thanksgiving look like tomorrow, Tony?
That's a good question.
Bunch of people or small affair?
It'll be a small affair. I'm just not sure if we're going to be at my house or we're going to be somewhere else.
That's not decided yet?
What can I tell you?
Yeah.
Oh my
I know.
gosh, we get a prayer on Thanksgiving.
Well, I will tell you this, and I have said this many, many times. It is, without exception, my favorite morning. Because in the morning when I get up, Heather's already been up making pies, and the turkey's already in the oven. And the house just smells of turkey and pie. And I watch planes, trains, and automobiles.
You do.
And then I eat an abundance of stuff that
and
I
take a
shouldn't.
huge nap.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's the life of Riley there.
It is pretty
Happy
good, my friend.
Thanksgiving, Tony. Thank
Same
you.
to
Thanks
both
for all
of
you
you.
do. We appreciate you.
All right, listen, it's
Thanks for
8:20.
having me.
Listen, anytime. 8:22. Let's see what's going on with the weather.